Do you consider yourself resilient? Chapter 6: The Mask of Strength: How Suppressing Emotions Feeds the Cycle. In a society that values toughness, resilience, and self-sufficiency, many men wear a mask of strength to avoid appearing vulnerable. From a young age, men are taught to suppress their emotions and handle their struggles in silence, often equating vulnerability with weakness. This mask becomes an armor that shields them from judgment but, in reality, serves to perpetuate emotional suppression. What many men fail to realize is that this facade of strength, while it may appear to be a sign of resilience, is often a dangerous coping mechanism that contributes to a cycle of emotional isolation, mental health struggles, and long-term weakness. In this chapter, we will explore how this mask feeds the cycle of emotional suppression, how it distorts men's understanding of resilience, and how, in the end, it weakens rather than strengthens them. 1. The cultural expectation of strength. From early childhood, boys are taught the value of toughness. Phrases like, "boys don't cry," or "man up," are ingrained in their minds, signaling that emotional expression is something to be avoided. The pressure to be strong, stoic, and self-reliant is reinforced through societal norms, cultural narratives, and the media. Men are encouraged to be the providers, protectors, and problem solvers. But in doing so, they are often discouraged from seeking emotional support or showing vulnerability. This cultural conditioning leads to the development of what is often referred to as the mask of strength. The mask is an outward display of emotional control, where men suppress their fears, anxieties, sadness, and frustration to maintain an image of invulnerability. This mask is worn to protect men from perceived judgment or criticism, allowing them to fit in with societal expectations of masculinity. However, the mask comes at a cost. The longer men wear this facade, the harder it becomes to separate the true self from the persona they project to the world. The internal struggle between their true emotions and the need to appear strong creates a sense of internal conflict and emotional exhaustion. 2. Strength versus suppression: the misunderstanding of resilience. At first glance, the mask of strength may seem like a display of resilience. Resilience is typically defined as the ability to bounce back from adversity, to endure hardship, and to remain steadfast in the face of challenges. However, emotional suppression is not resilience, it's an avoidance strategy. When men suppress their emotions to appear strong, they are not effectively coping with their feelings, they are pushing them down and pretending they don't exist. This avoidance might allow men to temporarily manage stressful situations, but it doesn't address the underlying emotions that are festering beneath the surface. Over time, this suppression erodes their mental health, leading to feelings of anxiety, depression, and isolation. True resilience involves acknowledging one's emotions, processing them, and adapting to challenges with emotional awareness. It's about learning to be vulnerable, asking for help when needed, and expressing feelings in healthy ways. The mask of strength, in contrast, creates a false narrative of invulnerability, which ultimately weakens a man's ability to adapt to emotional challenges and bounce back from setbacks. By equating emotional suppression with strength, men often fail to realize that their inability to process emotions leads to an unhealthy buildup of stress and unresolved feelings. This misperception of resilience can keep them trapped in the cycle of emotional suppression, preventing them from developing the emotional intelligence needed to navigate life's challenges effectively. 3. The hidden consequences of the mask: internalizing the struggles. The mask of strength may appear to protect men in the short term, but it has serious long-term consequences. Men who suppress their emotions for years often internalize their struggles. They may feel that they must carry the weight of their problems alone, leading to an overwhelming sense of isolation. This emotional isolation is exacerbated by the fear that showing vulnerability will lead to rejection, judgment, or loss of respect. As a result, men may withdraw from their partners, friends, and family, unwilling to let anyone see their emotional struggle. The mask creates a false sense of control. By hiding emotions, men feel as though they are maintaining their composure, but in reality they are losing the ability to engage authentically with those around them. The longer this facade is maintained, the more entrenched the pattern of emotional suppression becomes. Men who hide their emotions often struggle to relate to others on a deeper level, and their relationships suffer as a result. Over time, this isolation can lead to loneliness, depression, and a sense of disconnection from the world. 4. The dangers of repressed emotions, physical and mental health issues. The emotional suppression that comes with wearing the mask of strength doesn't just affect a man's relationships, it also takes a toll on his physical and mental health. Bottled up emotions don't simply disappear. They manifest in the body and mind, often in the form of chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and physical ailments. Research has shown that men who suppress their emotions are at a higher risk for developing cardiovascular problems, high blood pressure, and other stress-related health conditions. The constant suppression of emotional energy places the body in a state of chronic tension, which can weaken the immune system, increase susceptibility to illness, and contribute to long-term health problems. Mentally, the emotional burden of wearing a mask of strength can be overwhelming. The constant effort to repress feelings requires significant energy and focus, leading to mental fatigue, burnout, and even feelings of emptiness or numbness. Men who consistently suppress their emotions may experience heightened anxiety, irritability, or a sense of being disconnected from their own lives. The emotional strain of wearing a mask of strength can also contribute to depression. Men who believe they must appear strong and resilient at all costs may eventually reach a breaking point, unable to cope with the overwhelming emotions they have long denied. The cycle of suppression, internal conflict, and isolation can spiral into a mental health crisis, leaving men struggling to regain control over their emotional lives. 5. Breaking free from the mask, the path to authenticity. While the mask of strength may have served a purpose in the past, it is not a sustainable way to cope with life's challenges. To break free from the cycle of emotional suppression, men must learn to embrace vulnerability and authenticity. The first step in this process is acknowledging the emotions that have been suppressed for so long. Men must give themselves permission to feel their emotions rather than viewing them as a sign of weakness. This may involve confronting difficult feelings like fear, sadness, or anger, feelings that may have been buried for years. Learning to express these emotions in a healthy way is crucial. Men can start by opening up to trusted partners, friends, or therapists, allowing themselves to be vulnerable in a safe and supportive environment. This may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is through this discomfort that men can begin to heal and develop emotional resilience. In addition, men can practice self-compassion, recognizing that it's okay to not always have everything figured out. Resilience is not about never experiencing emotional pain. It's about being able to face those emotions, process them, and continue moving forward. By letting go of the mask, men can begin to cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. 6. The role of support systems. Breaking free from the mask of strength requires the support of others. Men should seek out relationships and environments where they can be open and vulnerable. Therapy, support groups, or even close friendships where emotional expression is encouraged can provide a safe space for men to explore their feelings. A strong support system helps men recognize that they are not alone in their struggles. By connecting with others who are also willing to be vulnerable, men can learn that emotional expression is a sign of strength, not weakness. The journey toward authenticity is not one that has to be taken alone, and by reaching out for support, men can begin to dismantle the mask of strength and embrace a more balanced, healthy way of living. Conclusion: true strength lies in vulnerability. The mask of strength, while it may seem like an essential tool for survival, ultimately feeds the cycle of emotional suppression. It creates emotional distance, impairs mental and physical health, and isolates men from the very relationships that could offer support and connection. True resilience is not about denying emotions or hiding behind a facade. It's about embracing vulnerability and allowing oneself to be human. By breaking free from the mask of strength, men can begin to engage with their emotions in a healthy and authentic way, leading to deeper connections, better mental health, and a more fulfilled life. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of self-compassion and how cultivating kindness toward oneself can aid in overcoming emotional suppression.